On this week's episode of the Learn to It podcast, we're going to talk about an easy way to make a plan work. Let's go. All right, guys, welcome back to the Learn It, Do It podcast. I'm your host, Pete, joined as always by my lovely wife and co-host, Ree. And today we want to talk about how to make your plan work the easy version.
Yeah.
Kind of like plans for dummies.
I love it. So, we're a few months into the new year, and this is kind of when we look back and say, how's that
New Year's resolution
going?
I had this thought when I was thinking about this concept for this episode, and I just thought to myself, are resolutions a bad thing? Because the more I think about it, you get that fun excitement of the new year. I'm going to change my life. This is my year. And then now, you're a couple months into the year and most of everyone falls completely flat on their face. And then you get that kind of like grogginess until the summertime hits.
Yeah. And actually, I've heard a lot of people talk this year specifically, and maybe it's because last year was the challenge for everybody. But I heard a lot of people talking this year about not doing a resolution, right? And I think, these resolutions have kind of gotten a bad rap. Like it sounded, or bad rep, right?
Rep.
Era.
All right.
Apparently, I don't know what that's supposed to be. But, they kind of have this bad reputation. Oh, it's rep.
Ding, ding, ding.
We got it. So they have this bad reputation that, they don't work. And it's really not that the resolution doesn't work, right? There's something underlying going wrong there.
Right. Yeah. So we're not going to talk a ton about goal setting and the nitty gritty of goals because that's an entirely whole topic that we can talk about. But we want to talk about how you can actually make this kind of life change happen. We all have these goals or these ideas of goals that we want to achieve or these type of people that we want to be. And you like the idea, you like the concept of you being that. So at the beginning of each year, the biggest cliche resolution is I want to get in shape. I want a beach body. And I've thought that many years. December, it's like, Monday, I'm going to get at it. Now, let me tell you this. I am not a gym going person. I've had a personal trainer for 4 years. We went twice a week. That was enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
I felt good. My body was healthy, but I was not like swole. I wasn't like beach ripped.
Nor was I thrilled to go there at any point in time.
So for me to say, here, Pete, you're gonna get ripped starting Monday. You're just gonna get up. You're gonna get up early, which you never do. You're gonna get up super early. Like it's gonna be dark out still. You're gonna get up and you're just gonna hit the iron. It's like that might happen for like 1 or 2 days, maybe a week if I'm lucky. And then why would I keep doing that? That does not fall in line with anything that makes sense in my life.
Right. And I think, for me, it's like I'll create these like resolutions. And like you said, in a few days, they kind of fall off. And I feel like I don't like to make resolutions anymore because they just start to make me feel lousy because I'm not accomplishing them. And really, there's a few reasons why you might not be accomplishing your resolution or your goal, right? One, maybe you're not really in tune with the reality of what it takes to get it done.
Right. So I have this little metaphor, and it's like people say they want to swing for the fence. They want to hit a home run, right? You want to get into whatever you're doing and hit a home run. Well, if you're actually in baseball, people want to step up to the plate and hit a home run. But the reality is they probably don't have the right equipment. They've never been coached. They don't have the right technique. They've never been pitched to with a live baseball. They don't have a bat. Maybe they don't even like baseball. They don't even know that they have to practice, many hours a day each week to be able to hit a home run. And they just fell in love with the idea of hitting that home run.
I just had another example idea.
Yeah.
This will actually ring true for you, but growing up, you played soccer.
Yes.
Right? And you liked to play soccer.
Yes.
Right? You loved being the games. The games were the fun part.
Oh, yeah.
How much did you like drills?
Oh, God. Practicing, like every time I went to practice, I was like, can we just play the game already?
Right.
Like I wasn't there for the process. I didn't understand. I mean, I was a kid, but even as adults, like we don't understand that you need to be in love with the process if that is truly your goal.
Right. Because actually, reaching your goal is about 10% of the process, if not less, right?
Yeah.
90% of what needs to happen for you to hit your goal is the work it takes to get there.
Yeah.
And like once you get it, it's actually over, right? So if you don't enjoy that process, what's the point?
Right. Like I said, I am not a gym goer. I do not enjoy that. And I have a lot of friends that love it. They thrive on it, and that's fantastic and that's good for them. I can't try to just mold myself into that. Now, as far as me getting in shape, there are things I can still do that will have my body react positively towards the goal that I want to get to. I don't have to just try to completely change my life thinking that I'm just going to all of a sudden be this in shape dude. I need to still be Pete doing what I do, but working in these healthy habits to help me get towards where I'm going.
Right, right. That idea of like, don't bite off more than you can chew, So if you can't just look at the very end and say, like, I'm going to hit this insurmountable goal that is, not really fit for my lifestyle or what I'm willing to do to get there.
Yeah.
You have to think about the process and whether or not you're willing to go through that process.
So business goals and personal goals are all symbiotic because you are one person, your business and your person. So your goals work together. And so for my example, this year, what I wanted to do for my New Year's resolution was to start a morning routine. Because generally because we work for ourselves, I have the liberty of sleeping into whenever I want and just getting up. And,
also because somebody wakes up with the baby, but
that's
we'll
true.
leave that
That's
there.
True. But I could sleep in. I could just kind of just get a slow start to my day. I always said it was like I was like Bowser in Mario Kart. You have a slow start and then you just get ramped up. But what would happen is I would lead myself down this like unknown path every single day. I had no idea kind of how I was going to feel, what was going on. And then I got to the root of my issue was that I'd wake up each day and spend about 25 minutes to 30 minutes on my phone in my bed. I'd wake up and just start scrolling.
I totally used to use like looking at my phone. I'm hoping we're not the only ones here, and some of you out there are like, oh, me too. But I would use my phone as a way of, I'm not really awake yet, but I need to wake up soon. So I'm just going to scroll endlessly and see what happens.
And then I'd wake up, and no matter what I saw, I'd wake up feeling like garbage. I'd feel like garbage about what I was doing compared to everyone else. And I would just see articles that made me upset or people's takes on something that was just ridiculous. And I'd start my day in the worst headspace.
Just really sour, yeah.
And then I would just decide at 8:30, 9 o'clock that I was like, I'm not doing anything today because I'm in a bad mood. And it's like, what is that? So anyways, I decided I wanted to start a morning routine. And I realized that I needed to make sure that it was something that I could commit to that had a specific time each day. So for me, for this specific example, I knew I woke up at, let's say, 8 o'clock. And I knew that previously I had about 30 minutes or so where I would just do nothing. I wouldn't get out of bed till 8:30. So for me to insert a new habit into that 30-minute block seems pretty simple, and that's a good time to do it, right?
Yeah, seems logical.
I decided that was the time that I was going to start my morning routine, and that's the lesson here is to pick a time specifically where you can start this thing. And now, I don't want to say that this habit needs to be something that takes hours. I want this to be something that you can simply do. For me, in my morning routine, I have 4 or 5 things that I do that fit within a half an hour. It makes total sense. So real quick, I'll go through what I do and then we'll get to the next couple points about this. So I decided rather than looking at my phone, the first thing I do upon waking is open up my Headspace app and do a 10-minute guided meditation on Headspace, which I think we just hit like 700 days in a row. It's ridiculous. So that's pretty cool. Immediately when that was over, I would say my daily affirmations. We have both personal growth affirmations and money affirmations, I say. Then that would lead me into, I started writing my daily intentions down. So I would write down who I want to be, how I want to feel, what I want to do, what I appreciate, what I want to let go of, and what I want to attract.
I love that.
And also I'd write down a daily mantra for that day. I saw this online and I said, I might as well just throw it in my new routine and see how it works. It takes all of 5 minutes. So after that, I've committed to reading for at least 5 minutes of my book. Generally, I'm always read personal growth books or things that have to do with psychology and the brain and just cool stuff like that. So depending on it doesn't matter what I'm reading, but I've committed a minimum of 5 minutes. And then followed by that is I've committed to do 20 push-ups every morning just to get my blood flowing. It's turned into 20 push-ups, 20 squats, and 20 bicep curls because it's a wonderful routine and you get addicted to it.
This sounds like, a huge positive change in your life. And like really, when we thought about putting this episode together, we wanted to think about what are the things that we can do to like make it easier for people to follow a plan, right?
Yeah.
So, we started out kind of talking about, okay, when you create a goal, right? Like, do you really know what that goal is? But let's assume that you have a goal that you're trying to achieve, right? A lifestyle change maybe that you want to make, and you do understand what it takes to do it. And now, like, how do you easily make that happen? And I think, the example you just gave is finding first that time
Yeah.
that you can insert that into your daily process,
Yeah.
right? So for me, right, like when I was pregnant, I knew that as much as I agree, I do not like working out. I knew if I didn't work out at all, that was going to bite me later, right? And so the entire time that I was pregnant, I just told myself, I'm just going to do 20 squats and 10 push-ups every single day, no matter what. And I needed to find the time for that. And I didn't necessarily have a time on the clock for it, but instead I found a habit of something that I already do every day, which for me was brushing my teeth, right?
So you habit stacking.
I habit stacked, right? Yeah. So I found a habit of something I do already every day, and I just attached the new thing that I wanted to do to that. And this can be really, really effective, right? So for me, like, it didn't matter what happened throughout the day. If my day got crazy, I knew I wasn't going to lay down in bed without brushing my teeth. So I also wasn't going to lay down in bed without doing my squats and my push-ups. And it worked. It worked really well. Like, I was able to stick through it. And then before you know it, what I love about this idea of creating a habit is that a habit by nature becomes reflexive, right? So at first it's a little bit of work, right? And I actually think there's like a statistic. I think it's like 21 days it actually takes to form a habit, like the neural net in your brain. So you only really need to commit to working on this hard, right? For the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, it becomes a habit when it goes from your conscious to your subconscious.
Exactly.
Like how many times have you got in the car and you've been driving and you don't even realize that 10 minutes has gone by because it's become a habit. You know how to do this. You don't have to think about it actively.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. So creating, these habits, taking the plan that you created for yourself to get something done, right? And breaking it down into small habits that you can put into place is really important.
So if you're looking at, if you're thinking about your goals and you don't really know a specific time, you're not sure how do I find this time and how small does this habit have to be and what do I have to do? What I did, and I got this from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. And what you do is he has a habit scorecard. And essentially all you have to do on any given day, it doesn't matter which day, probably a normal day would be the best, is write down just everything you do that day. It doesn't have to be to the minute, but just write down all the activities, even when it's like nothing, or you're on your phone, or you're watching Netflix, or you're just write it all down. Be super honest. Just for that one day, take that one day and do that. And that will allow you to look back at it and say, is this something, number one, am I proud of all this? Would I share this with somebody?
Right.
And number two, is this at all part of my quote unquote goal? Like, is my goal
represented? Is this in line, with what I'm trying to do? Is my goal
represented in my day? Because generally we have a goal, and yes, goals do have an end, but a lot of these resolution type goals, we really mean we want to create habits. We're trying to change ourselves. And the only way to change yourself is to actually actively do it each day. And we're not saying you have to, like I said, you don't have to get up at 5 a.m. and start pumping iron. You just need to find some time in your day to start, just start the action each day. Just
kind of think of it as a spark,
exactly.
right? So like I love the example that you said of, you tell yourself you're going to read for 5 minutes every day, right? Now you have like a goal of reading, what is it, two books a month,
2 books
right?
a month, yeah.
So 2 books a month is your goal. If you read for 5 minutes every day, you are not going to reach that goal.
Right.
Like that is not, but that 5 minutes,
the vehicle to get it started.
It's the spark, right? So if you wake up and just say, I'm going to read 5 minutes, well, chances are some days you might just read 5 minutes, right? Some days you do, and you shut it at 5 minutes because you have other stuff to do.
Yeah,
but other days...
Yeah, I was going to be honest. So some days I don't have a ton of time, so I can't commit the full 30 minutes that I have planned, but I can still get all of my routine done within 15, 20 minutes because... But the meditation doesn't also have to be 10 minutes. I can do it for 3 minutes. So the idea is just doing the action. So the habit scorecard allows you to look at where you have time, where you have gaps of time. So for me, I also, so in the morning, I knew my gap of time, I had 30 minutes where I was just on my phone. So that was simple for me. And then actually recently I really wanted to start getting into the stock market and understanding investing. And I just never learned that stuff. So I've been talking about it so much. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. But then each night I would find myself like after you put the baby to bed, after you clean up, I'm just like playing PlayStation. I'm watching Netflix. I'm just kind of moseying around like with no solid plan. And when I did my habit scorecard, I saw that time and I was like, I have from 7:30 to 11:30 every single night.
Right.
And I only need to commit 20 minutes to start learning.
Yeah.
So I said each night after dinner, after the baby's in bed, I'm going to just 20 minutes, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to start learning, taking this course.
Right. And what I love about this is like it's such a small commitment, right? That it's easy to push yourself to do it, right? So it's not like, if I told myself, okay, when I was pregnant, like, oh, I'm going to make sure I work out every day, like immediately everything in my brain is like, you're not going to do that. No. You are absolutely not going to do that. And I wasn't going to do that. But when I told myself I needed to do 20 squats and 10 push-ups. I mean, that takes all of 3 minutes to do. There was no way I was going to not do that. Right. Like, I mean, it's so small that it's silly for you to not accomplish it. And so if you can break things down to that, small daily action, that kind of like 1% of the goal vibe, that's going to allow you to make that continued success like on a regular basis. And that little bit is also super motivating for you, right?
It's just like I remember, so who was talking about it where they just said like, if you're trying to get motivated to be active, just put your gym shoes by the door.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. It's like, if you want to do something, you just need that first step to it.
So for my examples, like I said, like I'm committing 5 minutes to reading a book. I'm committing 20 minutes to watch a course. And as you alluded to, I often read for 45 minutes when I have the time. I often do the course for 2 hours when I get into it.
Yeah.
And that furthers it along. And now I'm, 2 months into taking to understanding the stock market and I'm starting to do trading. And I am now 2 or 3 months into my morning routine. So that's all it takes is just the action to get it started. And now it's a habit. And now I can honestly say like this resolution is going to stick with me. This is my morning routine. I can start every day on this solid mental ground of like, here I go. This is what I'm asking the universe for. I'm starting with a clear headspace. I'm motivated, and then I get my blood moving.
Right.
And I come downstairs and see my family, have breakfast, and like that is the best way for me to start my day. But the example here is to show you that you can just give it the time, give it the trigger, and then just commit to it every day.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. And like this really should make it easy. So just to kind of, wrap up this whole thought, like if you've been listening and thinking about maybe a goal that you have, or maybe it was a resolution or just something that you've been trying to work on, right? A lifestyle change that you'd like to have. Here's where we think you can kind of make it super easy to accomplish for yourself. So first, you just want to look at it as you want to just improve 1% each day.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Just small,
like you're
simple.
Only looking to improve 1%. Right. If I can just be 1% better each day, I mean, that's a simple thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, and because, some days you're going to get better by 3%. Some days you're going to be better for 10%. Some days, 1% will do.
Right.
But that is just keep taking that step forward. You can only climb a mountain by taking individual steps.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, and to do that, what you're really doing is you're just committing to regular action, right? Consistent daily action towards your goal. And that will inevitably be that 1% a day that you're working towards, right? So just commit to regular action towards your goal.
And it's that defined action that has a specific time that you've already set out, and it's something simple.
Right.
It's something so simple. Like I can just drop down anywhere and do 20 push-ups, and that was on my goal list.
Yeah.
And now I'm actually exercising. Now I've added to this because I felt good about it, but it's a snowball effect.
Right. Like I said, you just need to plan the spark, right?
Yeah.
So just commit to that regular action, to just lighting that spark and see what else happens from there. 2, schedule it, right? You alluded to that. Schedule it or attach it to a habit that you already have, right? Make the time for it so that you're actually able to accomplish it.
Right. It needs to be a consistent time.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's really, really helpful.
Because, it has to be, you can't say, I'm going to do it in the morning today. Maybe I'll put it off to the afternoon tomorrow. That's not going to help you.
Yeah, it's the easiest way to
that's the
get
way
out
to
of
drop off your habit.
Yeah.
Keep it at the same time. Put it around stuff that you already cemented into your schedule.
Yeah.
Like for me, waking up cemented in my schedule.
Yeah.
Going downstairs and getting ready for my day.
He will be waking up every day.
The time in the after dinner to learn is cemented in the schedule.
Yeah.
Because, I know, and if I have another obligation, well, it's a 20-minute window.
Right.
So if I have something I have to do with family or friends, after dinner, well, I know, okay, I can get 20 minutes of this course done so I can check it off my list today and either be free in the evening
Yeah.
or just know that if I go to dinner or whatever, I haven't been out to dinner forever, but you know what I'm talking about. If I have something to go out and do, I'm going to come back and I will do this before I go to bed because I'm already committed.
Right. And that's what I do think it's important to note. Like, as far as schedule it might not be an exact time on the clock, but it is a segment of your day, right?
Yeah.
So like, it doesn't matter if you wake up at 8, 8:30 or 9. It's still when you wake up in the morning that you're doing it, and for us, it's our after dinner time is, a large
and know
bucket,
and understand and be honest with yourself on how much time you're committing to it. So,
Yeah.
because it's that matters a lot, because if you say, oh, I'm going to work out for an hour each day and you don't actually work out, like an hour is a long time, and you're going to get really discouraged and not want to do it. Then tomorrow,
or even if you don't give yourself a time, right? And you say, I'm going to work out. Well, in your head, somewhere in your brain, you're attributing an amount of time to that feels bigger and unattainable. Like, oh, today I don't have that much time. But if you just said, I'm going to be physically active and do, like I said, we said 20 push-ups, right? Like, you always have time to do 20 push-ups.
That's exactly the same too. When I wanted to start journaling, I don't have time to sit down and write all these pages.
God, I said that so many times.
But if you can just say, hey, I'm going to commit 2 minutes on the clock to just write stream of consciousness on this paper, well, I do that. And then I change it to 5 minutes. And so there's easy things that you can do. Just their whole goal is just to go through the motions because it's a habit you're trying to build.
Right. Just get it done and do it daily.
The point of these goals is to change yourself as a person. And the only way you are going to be different is if you do different things each day. Mm-hmm. And the easiest way to do that is by starting by getting better 1% each day.
Yeah. And then the last one is show up, right? Okay. Yep. So like do the things, but just don't break that streak.
Yeah.
Right. So it feels really good to know that you're doing it each day. And like you said, some days are, crazy. Maybe, our daughter's having a tough day teething and our whole schedule's thrown off and everything's out of whack. But when she goes to bed at night, it doesn't matter how tired we are or how many other things we need to get done. We still have time to do 5 minutes of learning.
Well,
right?
And as if you've all ever had a streak of something going on, you know how good it feels to keep checking those boxes off.
Right.
Like I just mentioned, I've been meditating for 700 days. And I actually have been meditating for 367 more days than that because my Headspace app refreshed one day because I did it like right after midnight and I was so upset. So, but the streak, you take so much pride in that streak and that's what pulls you back to do it.
Yeah.
So don't break the streak should be a mantra once you get started with this. And there is a rule to this. There's a caveat because life happens and no one's Superman.
Yeah.
If you miss a day, don't miss 2 days. So we call this the 2-day rule. I got it from Matt Diavella, who also got it from James Clear, who wrote the book Atomic Habits, is don't allow yourself to skip it 2 days in a row.
I like that because it does allow you for, that kind of human aspect of you will make a mistake. I really like the idea of don't break a streak, but I know that things happen, right? And you don't want to be so discouraged when you break that streak that, this has happened to us many times before. We had kind of these things set in place where once I broke the streak, I was like, well, whatever. I messed it up.
And that's why I like to piggyback this 2-day rule with don't break the streak. It's part of the streak because it's important because things do happen. Life is going to happen. And if you're committed to this, it's okay. You missed a day. Don't beat yourself up, but come back tomorrow. But once you miss 2 days, well, that's easily, that's just what opens the floodgates of the road to failure.
Right. So yeah, the 2-day rule keeps it so that it doesn't become bigger than just that one day. And then you're off to the races. You keep moving towards your goal. So I hope that some of these tips were helpful for you guys and make, you're following your plan and making your goal, reaching your goal actually a little bit easier. Yeah. And, I would love to hear about, some of those goals that you have and if they're working for you.
Yeah, guys. So this season 2 of the Learn It Do It podcast, we're switching things up a little bit and we're going to start taking voicemail questions rather than having a guest in the studio like we had on season 1. Obviously, because of COVID, we're going to take it online. So head over to our website, learnit-doit.com. Right on the homepage, there's a button that you can click to leave us a 90-second voicemail. Leave us your name, your business, your challenge, and you might be featured on an upcoming podcast.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us this week, and we'll catch you on the next episode.